So Denver, Colorado in the house. So we have Denver in the house, and we have Nigeria, we have Uganda, we have Kenya by way of Texas and North Carolina. We have Jamaica in the house. Where else do we have? I didn't hear anybody. Where am I Trinidad and Tobago folks today? Who else do we have online? Which other country? We didn't hear yet. Want to go ahead? Give us your name or where you're from. All right, cool. Let me make Augustine co-host. Make sure you're a co-host, just in case there's need to do anything. All right, wonderful. All right, let's go. All right, so I just muted everybody just to have a clear call. I know people will be jumping on here during the course of our conversation. I'm very excited about the dialogue we're going to have today. For those who may be new, my name is Dr. Harry Benjamin. I have the privilege of being a part of just helping each other. This is really a dialogue that we have. It's really a conversation. It's not so much a one-way dictation of information that we're here to soak up. It's really a conversation as to how we can really and truly grow. We can really truly release obstacles that are in our way, seek to do what's necessary to live a good life now, and to really improve the quality of our life experience, and really gain an understanding and clarity about the truth of our nature so that we can release more of our gifts, more of our talents, and more of our capacities. That's the essence of the dialogue. It's really to help us to eliminate obstacles, hindrances, things that are blocking us from revealing our gifts, our talents, our capacities, our peace, our joy, our wisdom, our intelligence, our strengths. It's to be able to release those divine qualities which we're gifted with, but there are some things that got into the way. So we're here to talk about how we can remove those. So this conversation is dedicated to that. And while I was in Nigeria, just different stints of my journey. I grew up in Jamaica, and while I was in Jamaica, became a medical doctor, then an entrepreneur, made some really great friendships along the way of developing myself. And in about 2005, 2004, a friend of mine asked me the question, am I saved? And I knew where he was going with the question. And then I asked him if I was born in India and I grew up as, not in Christianity, what would have happened to me? Because I wouldn't have met him, he would not have been able to ask me that question, and I would have been doomed. Or if I grew up in China with a Buddhist family, I would have been done, right? If I didn't get a chance to meet him to accept what he said as the way that I would be saved. So with that, I settled on a journey to figure this out and to really understand what was going on in terms of the underlying truth. I needed to know for myself what was true and not what somebody thought, not what somebody said, not what my parents told me. I needed to know for myself what was true. And that set me on a journey. So I went through studying several books, went to several different seminars and reading the history of religion, the history of God, and studying a lot of information. And then over time, have realized the truth of my own being. And in the process of doing that, seeking to have a conversation to help other people as well, to just look within. This is not what I say. It's not what Augustine says. It's not what anyone on here may say or may think or may choose to believe. It's really about discovering this for ourselves and turning within and discovering for ourselves. So today we're going to talk about what is enlightenment. And this is an interactive group. So we're going to open this up where we want others to contribute. We want questions. We want perspectives. We want disagreements, not fights. But we need to disagree to be able to not be disagreeable, be able to have a different perspective and a different point of view, so that we can truly grow and develop. So welcome, my brother and my friend. We met in Lagos, we became very good friends, we hit it off. And, from the time we got connected, it's really been a great vibe, and I'm really grateful and thankful for our friendship. So do you mind just reminding everybody who you are? Because some of them are going to be hearing from you for the very first time.
Hello, everyone. My name is
go ahead.
Omoifo Augustine. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. My name is Omoifo Augustine. I'm a holistic life coach, a success motivator, and an empowerment coach. Basically, I live in Lagos, Nigeria. On this journey called life, discovering more of who I am and more of who everyone is. And like Dr. Benjamin said, we're here to, share the little we have discovered with those around us and learn from those around us so that we could all become more of what we already are.
Thank you, man. Let's put some hearts and some fires in the chat for my friend, or those of us who are core part of us working together, because we're also building our business as well. But this is our back to one another and a gift to the world. And I believe that, and ladies and gentlemen, just to give you a little context, Augustine and I used to be we used to do like every Sunday, you and I were on Instagram together.
Yes.
Just sharing, just having this conversation. I know we're now a group of us that's gathering together. And that's just, a sign that the information that's being shared here has value. So thank you very much. So from your perspective, let's start with somebody from the group. Anybody, no particular order. You could raise your hand or you could unmute yourself and just say, what do you believe enlightenment to be? All right, let's start there. Anyone on the line, just unmute yourself and say, what is enlightenment? From your perspective, there's no wrong perspective. There's no right perspective. There's just your perspective. Go ahead and unmute anybody. We'd love to hear from you. What do you believe the word enlightenment means to you? If you want to read it from a dictionary, you want to Google it, whatever, just go ahead and read what you think. Anybody? Let me see. Okay,
hey,
great.
Dr. Harry. Hey, Dr. Harry, I have a little bit about good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday.
You want to introduce yourself? You want to tell everybody who you are, just briefly, just your name, where you are, and what you think enlightenment.
I certainly will. Forgive my hoarse voice. I've been out in the night air, raining here in Jamaica, getting the grass and the trees all green. My name is Bridget. I live in Kingston, Jamaica. I'm not going to answer an enlightenment question at the moment, but I want to toss something there about enlightenment that enlightenment, you already alluded to it, it's higher and higher revelation or knowledge or awareness or consciousness. But the thing about enlightenment is it can change. You can be enlightened today about a thing and you think you were enlightened about it, but you never know what you don't know. And that's just to put it out there for the next person who's going to speak about what enlightenment means to them. It is certainly a continuous journey because enlightenment happens in stages and layers. And in the depth of your soul, you will know, because it really is an internal and very personal thing when you suddenly see things you've never seen before, in a way you've never seen before, looking at the same thing. I don't know if I'm making any sense. On a spiritual level, when it comes to the revelation of God, and you use the word being saved, or being atoned for, being forgiven, it is certainly something that comes from God only, really, in my opinion. But I will talk more on enlightenment a little later. I just want to put it in there. You don't know what you don't know, and enlightenment helps to put you in the know.
All right, thank you for that perspective, Bridget from Jamaica. All right, my sister. Anyone else wants to jump in and just share what you believe enlightenment is from your perspective? Go ahead, no particular order, just unmute yourself and say your name, where you're streaming from, and what do you believe it is. Thank you, Bridget, for contributing.
Go ahead,
Robert. Go ahead, Robert.
Enlightenment means to me is a clear understanding, of anything.
Of anything. Wonderful. Thank you for that clear understanding, because there's light, so you could see clearly what there is to see. Right, there's the word light in there, right? That means you could see clearly what you could not see properly before. Thank you very much, Robert. Anyone else wants to jump in with their perspective? Go ahead.
Hello, everyone.
Just tell us your name or where you're shooting from.
Excellent, everyone. I'm Sahid from Lagos, Nigeria. And
Welcome, sir.
in my perspective, enlightenment is about awareness, being aware.
Enlightenment is being aware. I'm being aware of what?
Being aware of yourself, being aware of who you truly are, and being aware of your role in the universe.
Wow, thank you very much for that perspective, Sahid. Sahid was on here with me when my first conversation about transformational, do our transformational teachings work. Sahid was the first one I interviewed that day. Well, thank you very much, Sahid. Greatly appreciate you showing up today. Anyone else wants to jump in? Sahid Badru is in Lagos, Nigeria. We met there. Great friend of mine. Thank you very much for showing up. Who else wants to jump in and say, what do you believe enlightenment is? Anyone? Robert, give.
Hello,
go ahead.
Dr. Benjamin. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
Kevin.
go ahead. Hey, my brother, how are you, sir? Go ahead, sir.
It has been good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing and grateful, man.
Thank you.
Thank you
I'm
for
calling
asking.
from Nairobi, Kenya. My contribution to the word enlightenment will be, it is divine knowing, something like that. Just divine knowing.
Divine knowing. All right. Thank you for that statement. Anyone else wants to go ahead and jump in and share what you think enlightenment is? All right. Great. All right. So we're going to now go to our invited. I'm going to be interviewing someone that I have a great respect for, and let me say this before I ask you as well, Augustine. You know, because I'm trying to measure my words.
Yes.
I'm trying to position them in such a way that they're gentle enough for us to absorb them and not too highfalutin, you know, because I believe that we need to be practical, and you know, there's no point in having a conversation if it's not useful, right? You know, if we can't leave here with some value, some benefit, you know, so that we leave here feeling more and in a place where we could do more and be more effective than when we came here, then the time would not have been valuably invested. Because we have to make sure that our time, which is extremely valuable to each and every one of us here, is really invested in such a way that it gives us a better return in the future and not waste that time, because we cannot get time back based on how we function on the planet. So, all right, so let's just, you know, one thing I'll put in there, and somebody will type this in the chat for me. You enter the temple of enlightenment when you realize that you're already there. You enter the temple of enlightenment when you realize that you're already there. You know, I'll put this out there that everybody in the world, everybody on the planet is already enlightened. It's just a function of becoming aware of it. And you become aware of it at different degrees and different levels, depending on where one is. So that's my perspective on the word. You know, in terms of everyone here, it's not a greater or lesser than thing. All of us are already enlightened. All of us are created enlightened, but we have different levels of awareness of it. And that's what we're here to slop off the stuff that's blocking our awareness of that nature, because it has some practical benefits. It has more strength, more peace, more joy, more wisdom, more intelligence. You know, you can go through stuff easier, faster. You have ideas, opportunities, what we call miracles start to happen in your life if you can sustain and maintain a high level of joy and peace as a way of living on a day-by-day basis. So over to you, Augustine. What do you say enlightenment is?
Okay, first I would say enlightenment on its own simply means, you know, shedding light, you know, or gaining more knowledge, like someone said earlier on a particular subject. And I think in this group today, our subject is more spiritual, it's more holistic. So enlightenment for me, coming from that perspective, is the evolving realization of our true self, or the true self that is beyond any form or condition. The evolving realization of our true self, or the true self that is beyond any kind of form or condition that man has placed on it.
Thank you. So, so you're saying that enlightenment is awareness of the spiritual side of our life. You know, if I was to put it simply, right? Enlightenment is becoming aware of your spirit. That's what it is. Because what happens is that when you're not aware of yourself as your spirit, then you're aware of something else as yourself. And when you have identified with something else as yourself, that creates a block in your eye. That creates a block to really understanding and feeling and being aware of the truth of ourselves. And where did these blocks come from? You know, where did we inherit these perspectives? You know, if you want to share, you know, what are some of the blockades to being aware? You know, as Sahida shared, enlightenment is self-awareness. Of course, you could you could dim it down to you know, levels of, okay, I'm enlightened because I'm aware now that I can walk. So I'm enlightened about walking. Or I'm enlightened now because I could read a book. Or I'm enlightened now because I'm in a relationship and I know what it's like to be in marriage. You could use the word in those contexts, but I think in terms of we've heard about and some of us are hearing about, are you enlightened? You know, are you woke? Are you awake? And you know, these terms, what is the practical use of them? What is the practical use of knowing what enlightenment is? Is it something that anybody should try to, for lack of a better word, become not achieve, because you're not achieving something that you already have, because if you already have it, it's just a function of becoming aware of it. So is there any value to someone investing the time, the energy, and going through the processes necessary to become aware of their enlightened nature, right? To become aware of the spiritual nature as opposed to our human nature. Is there any benefit to going through, you know, the dark night of the soul, you know, to going through all of the spiritual study, to going through hours of meditation, to learn how to pray affirmatively, to have these conversations we're having now? Is there any value to doing that? What's the point of becoming enlightened, becoming aware of an enlightened state?
Oh, yes, there's so much great value because, I mean, like you said, if you have an equipment and you don't really know what the equipment is used for, how then can you use that equipment to do what it is built to do? So, you know, you are a being and there is so much potential within you. Now, if you do not discover that potential that's within you, then how can you really fulfill your greatest gift on this earth? So enlightenment is the key to becoming that which you came into this world to become, to expressing that truth that resides within you, that truth that you are. I think I don't even like using the word resides within you, you know, or the spirit within you, because you are the spirit, not that you have a spirit within you. You are the spirit, you are the gift, you are everything. So enlightenment helps you understand your true nature and gives you the opportunity to bring out that true nature flawlessly.
Yeah, so what are some of the qualities of that true nature? What are some of the qualities of an enlightened being? How can we know somebody's enlightened?
Come again, how can we what?
How can we identify someone who is enlightened? What are the qualities that someone who is enlightened exhibits?
Okay, I would say, if even going into, I'm going to be honest here, going into this aspect of how do we identify someone can also be misleading. You understand? Because I think, to me, I think he who is enlightened will know himself. You understand? Because watching out for certain traits might also be misleading. But in general, yes, someone that's enlightened begins to live a more fulfilled life, begins to live more in joy, peace, and harmony, and all these other aspects. But at the same time, don't forget, there are people that, due to their experiences of life or in life, also have those same qualities. So if you are going to look at just the qualities or look from the outside and say, this person is enlightened, you might make that mistake. But from you, your inner being, if you're true to yourself, in truth, you would discover or you would know if you are in that process. Because enlightenment is different for or the process of enlightenment is different for everyone. Someone might be going through what another person will call hell and attain or is attaining that level of enlightenment. And someone looking at him or her from the outside might not understand that this person is going through the process that is needed for him or her to become what they already are. And you look at that expression that this person is actually, going through and say, oh, this person is not enlightened, or he's not woke, or she's not woke, like people say today. But at the end of the day, enlightenment is personal. Your process is personal. Even the knowing is personal. Now, when you become very enlightened, there are certain traits you begin to give out. Like you begin to become more joyful. You begin to become more loving. It doesn't mean that once in a while the old self might not, pop in or come out a little bit. But you see, it's a process. That's why someone else said earlier on today, like enlightenment is a process. It's not something that, you get to the end and say, oh, I am all enlightened. No, it's a process, and you must walk through the process to become who you are at each moment.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So all right. So seeing that, trying to judge from the outside, say somebody is enlightened or not, it's useless because it's an internal awareness of oneself, and you can't really know if that being. You can guess, you can hazard a guess that okay, because they're showing this, they're showing that, then quite likely. But there's this wonderful statement that came from Jesus, and he said, one of the disciples asked, "Hey, Master, how can we know they're from you? How can we know they're like you, right? How can we know that they are aware, they're self-aware the way you are self-aware?" And he said, "By their fruits you shall know them." And he listed about 8 different fruits that he spoke about. And really, in our own self-discovery, it's only when we know and are aware of our enlightened nature that you could start to detect that someone else maybe is. Because they'll speak a certain way, they'll demonstrate a certain way, they'll have a certain amount of calmness. You'll see something hit them, something harsh said to them, they'll respond kindly and gently. They'll have a self-control that you generally would admire. You would start to see qualities coming from them that you would want to see those qualities in you. And that's how you could start to detect because it's a maybe deal. You can never know for sure, but who are the ones who are demonstrating those qualities? And then we could draw closer to those people and start to learn from them and start to be around them, because the light of our Creator starts to shine in their words, in their face, in the way they be, the movements they make, the decisions they're making, the way they treat other people. Those things start to show up as evidence or fruits that they have been courting that light or spirit within. All right, so thank you for that. Now, let's go back to our group, because this is, all right, increased awareness that there's much more to know. So here's the thing about nature, right? Our spiritual nature is infinite. It doesn't have a limit. So if you become aware of your spirit, then it's almost like a starting point. It's almost like a beginning. And it's an endless beginning. It's a beginning that will continue and continue and continue and continue, and it never ends. Because infinity doesn't have a bottom, it doesn't have a ceiling, it doesn't have sides. So when we become aware of that infinite nature, it opens up the idea of our limitless being. It opens up the idea of the ideas, the gifts, the talents that are loaded and coded within us that we're here to express and to reveal through this very small human nature that we have access to use to deliver this really great, big, infinite spirit that we're one with. All right, so let's go to that to who, because I'm sure some of you out there must be bursting right now, wanting to say something and not just chat. All right, so let's
Open up
hear
the
from
floor.
who first wants to jump in on top. Who else wants to jump in to contribute to, who's burning to say something? All right, apart from Augustine and myself over here talking. Who else on here wants to say something? Please unmute and share so far what you'd like to contribute. If you have something that's in agreement or in opposition, this is not a one-way deal. So
Yeah.
you could be in agreement, it could be in disagreement. We do not have to be disagreeable, but we can disagree. We can agree or we can disagree. Or we can have medium.
It's all the process of enlightenment. It's all the process of shedding light on a subject. So
Right?
disagreeing
So
and
that we can
agreeing is
become
part of the process.
aware. Anyone else
Yes.
wants to jump in? All right, nobody unmuted so far. Everybody wants to put their messages in the chat, and that's cool. This is a topic that we hear about the idea. Let's switch to that word awaken, because it relates to enlightenment. Enlightenment speaks to, we hear individuals, okay, go ahead, Bridget jumped in.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harry. I'm not sure. It's the first time being on this call. Thank you for inviting me. I'm not quite sure the level
It's a
of
spiritual call. It's a call to allow for us to become self-aware. It's dedicated to self-awareness. It's the purpose of it is to be sincere about blockades, obstacles, hindrances that are preventing us from being able to reveal our gifts, our talents, our capacities. It's how to have a practical, better life today. It's how to improve the results in our relationships, our physical body, in our businesses that we're doing, in the community at large. It's how to be a more effective being on the planet. All right. And of course, we're spirit, soul, and body. So we cannot ignore spiritual and soul, because that's where everything comes from. So we're seeking to get things out of the way that are hindering and obstructing us from being able to reveal those qualities.
Yes. Okay, awesome. I love that this is a space for that. When I was younger, I heard a message one time, and the topic of it was disputable matters. And the speaker spoke of the plethora of opinions and choices and social levels, spiritual levels, rules, regulations, even rules of the church, rules of religion. And he made an important point about disputable matters, that ultimately, if there is a truth, if that truth is God Almighty, then a variety of ways that people try to get to truth really doesn't matter. In the context he was speaking, he was talking about the different religions and even the different denominations or sects within a religion. And he said the ultimate thing in life, if there is such a thing as good and evil, or that dichotomy of one extreme direction and another, then the journey to truth must be distracted, must be thwarted, must always be contested. There's always an antagonist for your level to get to truth. And so I'm going to use the terminologies that I was brought up on, and that is God and the devil or Satan. Some people laugh and scoff at that. But whether you call it truth or not truth, good and bad, enlightenment or darkness, the ultimate thing is everyone is still trying to find that reason why we are not at peace, that reason why we don't grow, that reason why things go wrong, that reason why things are upside down. And it's a natural thing. So I like the word enlightenment. And my first exposure to that word was when I was in high school and we had to study religions, and Buddhism is who used that word enlightenment. And I like you, as a child, followed what my parents taught me, and we were from a Christian background. But the knowledge that other religions exist make you want to think, well, why is everybody believing? And if somebody believes over there in the East in Buddhism, and they're living a good moral life, they're in tune with God, they're enlightened, and like the earlier speaker said, the evidence of someone being enlightened, it turns into their behavior. Are you good to people? Do you forgive easily? Are you kind with your words? The fruit of the Spirit spoken in the Bible is love, peace, joy, happiness, understanding, temperance. You don't lose your temper because you understand at a different level. You're not a child that if you step in poop, you start to scream because you have a little bit more enlightenment that this poop is not the end of the world. You can wash your foot. So to me, when I think of enlightenment, I think about a child stepping in a big pile of cow poop. It's the end of the world. It's up to your knee because you know you're 1 foot tall. I'm just being facetious, but you know it's a nightmare. You're falling into a big problem, and it's the end of the world. Someone who's grown can see. I can just lift you out to this poop. I can just wash you off, and you're good to go. Enlightenment is not being aware of the power that we have within us. It's being not aware that ultimately, regardless of your religion, regardless of your belief, it's not necessarily that you've learned to control yourself that made you enlightened. It's not the fact that you've begun to be good that says you're enlightened. Because we're cultured to be these, in quotation, better people. True enlightenment to me comes from the connection in mankind, your spirit inside you, which we're all born with that spirit, being awakened to the fact that you are not in control of yourself anymore. I think mankind seeks to be in control, being empowered, and God is the only ultimate power, and his spirit is in us. And you guys alluded to it earlier. We already are enlightened. We already are perfection. We already are the spirit that is God breathed in us, his own breath, his own spirit. We are supposed to be in alignment with God. Circumstances, culture, all kinds of things, sin particularly, human nature, the will that you have to choose has taken us far from God. And from my perspective, one who seeks God and seeks truth and seeks knowledge will find it. The word of God promises that if you seek it, you will. The firmament declares the glory of God. No one can say, well, no one told me there was a God. Well, all you have to do is look up in the sky and wonder, how did that happen? That thought is all God needs to bring you closer to him. It is God who brings us close to him. It is God who woos our spirit, his spirit to ours. And if we are quiet enough, silent enough, and want to be in that power, be in that unity, that's how we begin that journey to enlightenment. That's how we begin that journey to getting back to God. But there is just a little bridge. There's a point that you can go by yourself in your humanness to become more aware, to become more kind, to be more in tune with your spirit. But you're going to get to a wall, and that wall is that sin wall that our minds can only take us so far because we still rely on our own understanding, even to interpret enlightenment. True enlightenment will come when we cross this little cavern, this wall of sin that blocks the next level of knowledge. And that's the next knowledge that takes us really close to God. And it's only when God himself is awoken in our spirit. And in my belief and in my training and my own experience, that is when you accept the Lord as your savior. John 1:1 says, that in the beginning was the word, capital W, the word meaning God, and the word was God, the word was with God. It is God is the word. God is God. And people have to cross that cavern. A lot of people won't agree. And as a child, I became a Christian, accepting the Lord as my savior, but I didn't understand it. I was not even enlightened, although I did the process of accepting the Lord as my savior. But unless I did the work, you cannot be enlightened unless you do the work. I hope I'm not talking too long. But unless you do the work, you can't be enlightened. You can't do instructions and be enlightened. You can't just go to pray and just suddenly be enlightened. And that work is praying and then listening. You can't just go to church and be enlightened.
So let me jump in and ask you a question. Let me jump in and ask you a question, Bridget.
Yes.
Because you said I am a Christian. So let's just break that down. Let's just dive into it. All right. So somebody typed that in the chat. I am a Christian. And let us type in the chat again. I am a Buddhist. And let's type in the chat. I am atheist. Right? Okay. Now, let me ask you, Bridget, who is the in the context of the Christian, the Buddhist, and the atheist, right? You know, there are three different, it could be the same person that went from atheism to Christianity to Buddhism. It could be the same person or same individual that actually had those three different perspectives. So who is the I am in those three? Who is the I am?
I am is God. In fact, in the word, I wish I knew the exact verse, but I am is.
All right. So hold up before we run away there. Hold up. So
I'll say God.
I am okay. We say God. So when you say I am a atheist, I am a Buddhist, I am a Christian, who is really saying I am those three things?
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, I'm sorry. I was using that whole word I am. I am is one of the most.
That's fine. But what you said is right. What you said is not, well, from my perspective.
I am is God. I'm saying I know that I am is God Almighty. However, when we use the word I am, that is us connecting with what we're saying, and we're connecting with who we represent in the spirit. So
all right. So question. Where is the great I am? So let's talk about that. Yeah, where's the great
I am? For me, Bridget A. Buckner, the great I am resides within me. Simply because, I'm gonna add it, simply because there is a time in my life when I prayed and I acknowledged that, Father God, I by myself, this is not the way that I am existing with a lowercase am. The way that I am existing is not the way I am designed to exist. And I am designed to exist when I connect with the I am, capital A. The I am is God. I need God's.
All right. So if we look at the great I am, right, as the universal presence of God, as all of God, and you know, right? If we look at, it sounds like we're in agreement there. And then there's a small I am, which is the Bridget.
Right.
Right. And then the I am that is the Bridget gave, because of a set of circumstances, gave a predicate. I am either, Bridget could say, I am Christian, I am Hindu, I am atheist. Bridget could choose to say anything.
Bridget could say, I am happy, I am sad, I am depressed, I am victorious. And so we have to understand that we operate on these two realms. We operate on the earthly realm. And when here's a good example of enlightenment, Dr. Harry. If I say, I am beautiful, or I am happy, or I am depressed, that's an earthly condition. Now, if I am a spiritual being, instead of saying, or I don't understand, or I understand, that's just us here. But understand that there's a deeper thing to I am happy, I am depressed, I am lonely, I am blessed, I am highly favored. There's something way.
Okay, so hold on a second. Let's just, for the purposes of bringing some clarity, because enlightenment is about clarity. I was seeking to get clarity, right? Yes. So I am. We first have to let me say it this way, for the purposes of seeking to be of value. There's a difference between our individuality, and there's a difference between our personality. Our personality and our individuality are separate. All right. Our personality comes through experience. It comes through hurts, pains. It comes through things that we were taught about ourselves. You know, the name Bridget, who gave the name Bridget to you? And who gave the name Harry to me? All right, so even that in itself is not something that came from us. The only gift we have within us is the I am. So our I am is free of a body. The I am is free of the growing up as a child. The I am is free of all experiences. The I am are free from the labels that we adopt in our society. And the labels that we will attach to the I am are labels. Whether we want to call him doctor, lawyer, Christian, Hindu, atheist, at the end of the day, these are things that we hold on to with our I am. Now, the I am itself, we are being given the dominion to use the I am and choose how is it that we're going to allow that I am to be in the world. And that is a personal decision and a choice that we have the power of preference. I could choose to be a Christian. I could choose to be a Buddhist. I could choose to be an atheist. I could choose any one of these areas. I could choose to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. I could choose all of these different areas. But those are just my choice based on the freedom and the power and the will that's been given to me to make that choice. Now, when it comes to the idea of becoming aware of our enlightened nature, here's what I want to drop in here for the purposes of growing and us understanding. There are 4 what you call levels of human development. And let's just look at them. The first one is where we start out as looking at ourselves as something outside of us, right? You know, we look at ourselves as victims. We think there's something trying to hurt us. We think that the environment could hurt us because we see ourselves as only a human being. Then we get into the second stage of consciousness where we start to realize that there's a small I am in us that the great I am has gifted us. And we could say, I am this, I am that, I am powerful, I am great, I'm strong. And then we start to have goals. I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to do that. And then there's a third stage that opens up to us when we get into the space of enlightenment, where you become aware that there's a creator that uses you as an instrument, where you now start to open yourself up to listening to your higher being and not just using the principles and the laws to manifest your goals, your dreams, your ideas and aspirations. We become open to the Spirit of God available to us to start guiding us and directing us and using us to do God's work in the world, all right, whatever that may be within what you have understood God to be. And then the fourth stage is when we become aware that God's life and our life is one and the same, and there's no difference between the two. Now, those are 4 areas of human growth. Now, enlightenment allows, when we're aware of the Spirit as our life, and I don't mean theoretically, I don't mean aware because we read it in a book. I don't mean because I'm trying to define it. I mean that you're aware that you're a spirit, like you have air coming onto your nostrils. Now, when you have that awareness, it changes your perspective. Because what happens is that until you have that awareness, what is our awareness? Our awareness is a sense of Bridget, Harry, you know, whatever that may be, whatever the combination of those elements may be. And that awareness may include, I'm a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Hindu, I'm a judge, I'm a lawyer, I'm a dad, I'm a son, I'm a parent. All of these roles that we play are collected together to form a small sense of identity that we tend to hold on to, because the larger sense of our identity we're not aware of. And what happens is that the wall that I heard you speak about, which is a wall that we run up into, right, where one is trying to like get to that higher knowledge and you run into what seems like a wall, is just a function of that veil that causes us to feel separate from the presence of God that we inherited from those who came before us. So that veil is that wall that you're referring to, that we feel separate. And until we pierce that veil, until we kind of tear it and have a rent in it, and we see beyond it, and then we realize, whoa, there's what was behind it was me. There's always me. There's me on this side, there's me on the other side, it's all me. But until we have an awareness of it, it's just a theoretical conversation. It's just your perspective, my perspective. This is what I think, this is what I believe. And our beliefs, at the end of the day, are opinions. Your belief, my belief, are just beliefs. And until one becomes aware of the truth, it's just you believing, me believing, we having a conversation about it. But the good thing is that as we're rubbing up against one another, it challenges us to actually go and reevaluate, rethink, look back again to see, man, you know what, this something is, because what we're seeking to help each other with is what's called insights and revelations. My goal right now is, because I can't teach anybody the truth. I can't. All I can do is have a conversation, and one day, hopefully, bam, a light bulb turn on in your mind. You're going to see something all of a sudden that you didn't see before, and then boom, and it will feel like, oh, Harry made me out. No, it wasn't me. It was just the process that we're in together, and the willingness and the openness to come here and engage one another and rub against each other. And it is in that rubbing up and bouncing up against one another that allows for us to say, And then inside of that, we may have an insight. It may happen on this night. It may happen tonight. It may happen a week from now. It may happen a year from now. But what I know is that this conversation is becoming a seed inside of all of our minds that's going to help us at some phase and stage in our own process to realize that, that wall, that veil, us going through it. Because we grew up with a sense of separation from our Creator. We inherited it from our parents, our culture, and we believe that the Creator is somewhere outside of us. And we believe that we're human, and we carry that. And it is waking up from that we're here to do. We're here to liberate ourselves from mistaken, misbegotten beliefs that are literally holding us down, inhibiting us from revealing our infinite, powerful nature that is inherent in all of us and innate in us, but we're not aware of it. And not trying to sound anyway, but guys, I will tell you, I've pierced the veil. I'm not here to try to pretend like I haven't. I have, all right? And peace and the joy that floods your being, I'm telling you, nothing in this world can assail it. Nothing. There's nothing can depress you except your thoughts and your descriptions about your events in your life that you used to tear you down from your mountain of joy and peace, if you choose to do that, by using events in your life to say, man, I'm unhappy because this happened or that happened or da. And we could go on and on about it. But let me quiet down. I see Robert want to jump in. So Robert, go ahead. I see that you can't wait to speak. Go ahead,
Yes,
Robert.
thank you so much. I'm enjoying this this study today. But anyway, now how I have always looked at that I am word, and I believe that God gives me an understanding. And I was my understanding was enlightened when he gave me, I think it was a revelation on that particular word, that I am word. Because I always ask God for revelations. I ask him for wisdom, knowledge, understanding, always. I love the word of God, and I love the correct understanding of the word of God. And I believe that he gave me this revelation concerning that particular word, I am. And it comes from when you look at First John, not First John, but John 1:1, it says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him there was not anything made that was made, and all of that. Okay, so in the beginning was the Word. So it's like the Word comes first, and of all things, Word is number one. But God is also the Word. See? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay, so now that we know that God and the Word is one and the same, he's both of them. And then over in the book of Psalms, I believe it's Psalms 138, where it says that God has magnified his word above all thy name. He has magnified thy word above all thy name. Okay, so in other words, God has magnified, he has put the word ahead of his own name. Okay, even though he is the word, he puts the word first. And so when we come to this word, I am, well, when I look at it that way, when I look at God is the word, and the word is above all things. So whatever the word says, that's what it is. So he says, I am. And the way that I look at that and the interpretation that I think he gave me on that was when he says that I am, especially when he said, I am that I am. That's what gave me the full understanding of what he was saying. I am what I am, meaning I am whatever the word says that I am, that's what I am. Whatever the word says that I am, or whoever the word says that's who I am, well, that's who you are. It's whatever the word says, then that's settled, right there. I am that I am. Whatever the word says that I am, that's what I am. I am that I am. And you can't get any higher than the word, because the word knows everything. And the word, it just pretty much knows everything. So, and God, now when you look at God, he's a lot of things, right? I am that I am. I am the lily of the valley. I am the bright and morning star. I am the Lord thy God. All of those see, because God has a lot of titles. He has a lot of names. He has a lot of things that he do. That I am this. I am that. I'm your Lord and Savior. He's everything. So whatever the word says that he is, that's what he is. That's
All right.
exactly what
So,
he is and who he is.
so thank you
Dr.
for that. You
Benjamin,
know what? Go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Augustine.
You know, funny enough, we are making so much sense here today. You know, whatever the word says, you know, I am. You know, the word actually becomes, and you know, like what Dr. Benjamin said earlier on, this same word that you know is expressed as me, you, and every other being has been
Excuse me,
saying,
excuse
I
me,
am
excuse me, excuse me,
Christian.
excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me, one second, one second. Excuse me right
Okay.
there. I just thought of something else. I am the great I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay. Yes.
I am the
So
great I am.
this
Go ahead.
same
I'm sorry.
word, you know, this same word that has given birth to everything that you will see on this in this universe, you know, has also claims to be everything. So this same word claims to be Dr. Benjamin, claims to be Christian, claims to be Muslim, claims to be, and whatever this word claims to be, it becomes. Now,
There you go.
what we need to do is find the word. So this, what we're talking about enlightenment today, what we're talking about coming from a Christian perspective now is seeking the word, seeking that word that claims to be. So that's why he asked earlier on, who is the I am claiming to be a Muslim, a Christian, claiming to be all these names? Now, when you understand that, but when you begin to seek the I am, not really the name. So I'm not seeking to be a Christian, a Muslim, a pagan, an atheist, a Jew, but I am seeking to know who the I am in me is. Then the journey to enlightenment begins. Because now you are seeking that which is beyond form and condition. Because don't forget, before you came into this world, you did not exist, as in Austin never existed, Benjamin never existed, Bridget never existed, Kelvin never existed. What existed was that essence that had the opportunity to become what it chose to become. That is the I am, that is God. God existed, and now God gave this person you call me now an opportunity to become what it is by accepting what it met. So you came into this world, and I mean, in Nigeria, you're born today, 7 days later, you do a naming ceremony. On that 7th day, they now decide that your name will be Austin. Instantly, I am accepts that I am Austin. And what happens is, as I am grows, he begins to accept other conditions and says, that is who I am. And you see, once you wake up every morning, first thing your brain does is organizes itself into what it feels it is. But there is an essence beyond that idea, beyond that form, that we need to seek and know. When we really get to understand that form, we shed ourselves from every condition and circumstance and form to accept the truth. And like he says, the truth will set you free. Will set you free from every limitation that conditions create in your life. So what we need to do in this enlightenment journey is really about seeking that I am that is beyond any word or form, any idea, seeking that I am that gave birth to the entire universe. That is what enlightenment actually, and that is what the enlightenment journey helps us to really come in contact with. It is not something that one can teach you. You cannot read a book and gain this knowledge. You cannot listen to me and gain this knowledge. You cannot listen to anybody and gain this knowledge. It's a personal journey that one has to grow or go through rather to discover. And it starts with your desire to really, it says those who seek God must seek God in spirit and in truth. So you must seek God from that essence of you that is beyond the physical person, and from truth, from sincerity. From sincerity. And first, you must first understand that I do not know anything. What I think I know, I do not really know. You must be open to understand that right now you don't really know anything, so you are ready to know. Our problem, I think, mostly in this journey to enlightenment, is that most people come into enlightenment with their minds already full of what they think it should be. They always, we come into this journey assuming that we already know it. And because we come into this journey assuming we already know it all, we cannot really gain much. They say a cup, the old wine sack cannot take in new wine, because if you pour new wine into the old wine sack, it will burst. So you have to empty yourself for the journey to begin. So if we come into this journey saying, I am a Christian, I am a Muslim, I am a pagan, I am all this, what we will end up finding is still what we already know. But when we come into this journey, yes, when we come into this journey open to be filled up, then the potentials are infinite.
So you're saying that we need to begin the journey with "I don't know."
Oh yes.
For our own unfolding, at the beginning I said, or at the beginning, one of the things I said was that you'll enter the temple of enlightenment when you realize that you're already there. So the interesting thing about the journey of enlightenment is not somewhere that you're going to, because you're already there. It's just that you're not aware that you're there. And what we're aware of is taking us away from the truth of our being. So to become aware of the truth of our being, there are practices that others have done. You are free to choose to use these practices or not. And they're simple, they're not complicated, right? Nothing, hard to do. And nothing about beliefs and you have to believe this, you have to believe that, you have no wrestling. There are some practices that I found to be extremely valuable. And number 7 is fellowship. Now here's the thing about fellowship. When you choose to fellowship around a group of people, based on their beliefs and based on their point of views and opinions, it's going to help to inform yours. So you have to be continuously reevaluating who you're fellowshipping with and see if you have outgrown that group, because sometimes you're with a group of people for a season and not a lifetime. And then 6 is selfless service. Selfless service is going beyond yourself, where you're now starting to do things in your community to give up yourself for the upliftment of others, which goes beyond you and starts to bring you into a level of self-awareness. Then you need life vision. That's another great practice to learn about. I haven't dived into that one yet. And then number 4 is the high-minded conversation. Today we had a very powerful high-minded conversation that was wrestling in a beautiful way with each other that allows for us to really raise the bar in our lives, right? And then number 3 is spiritual study. Each of us will be reading different books at different stages in our lives. The same book that we read, when you reread it, after today's conversation and weeks, months down the road, you're going to have a different perspective on some of the areas in your life. I'll have a different perspectives. All of us should be, unless we're stuck. And then number 2 is affirmatively praying. Learn how to declare and decree the things that are in alignment with truth. Learn how to pray from a truth perspective and not just pray, right? But affirmative prayer. And then number 1, and if you think about all 6 and you learn how to practice silent meditation is turning away from the world, turning away from what people told you, turning away from what everybody told you, and to seek the God of your own soul and go within in quiet time and allow the God of your own soul to be a revelation to you, for the truth to be revealed to you, not based on what anybody says, not based, you can't write the truth in a book. If it could have been written in a book, all of us would have it. If it could have been said in a conference, we would have heard it already. If it could have been spoken about, we would have all known. But those practices are found to be extremely powerful, extremely valuable, and I've also, there are people I've helped along the journey of becoming self-aware. And Sahid is here. Hopefully Sahid is still on. He spoke about self-awareness. And Sahid, I don't know if you're still out there, that you want to jump in and say anything about your own self-awareness journey, where you were, and where you are today. And also, we're going to have Monica on here soon. That's going to be a powerful one. You met Monica, right? I think you did. I'm not sure if you did Augustine. But yeah, so someone who was also in a state of holding on to certain beliefs, and then over time became self-aware, and has now delivered some books, some content, doing some great things in the world, a lot of poems, and some wonderful gifts that have birthed itself in the process. So man, I'm fired up. I'm excited about today. Robert, I know you can't wait to speak again, but Sahid, if we could hear from Sahid before Robert jumps back in. Sahid, can you speak where you are? Are you able to speak, Sahid, about your journey, about what it's been like for you? Because, we're seeking to help other people along the pathway. So go ahead, Sahid, and speak. Sahid Badru, tell everybody your name, where you are, and you're where you are, and the process and where you are.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Benjamin. So my name is Sahid Badru. I am based in Lagos, Nigeria, and before now, I used to be someone who, like I said on this platform some weeks back, I used to be someone who believed that everything I wanted was on the outside, and I struggled so much with myself, with my self-confidence, with the way I saw myself, and I ended up in situations where I was always I was always happy or unhappy based on what people thought about me or what people said about me, or I was always pleasing people just so that I would feel accepted. But after meeting Dr. Benjamin about 6 years ago, I was mentored by him. I started learning, and my awareness started increasing, and I started understanding that true happiness actually comes from within, and actually recognizing who you truly are. And through the years, even in the toughest of times, I've been able to. It's not been easy, but I've been able to still keep myself. Still keep my sanity intact, still keep my self-confidence intact, and that's, to me, that's basically the most precious asset, my self-esteem. And this has been very it was achieved because I was able to understand who I truly am. I was able to be aware of who I truly am, and no matter what the circumstances are, no matter how temporary or how tough they are, it's just a process, and that has really been a major impact in every aspect of my life till date. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, man. Becoming self-aware, so it has benefits. And becoming enlightened nature has major benefits. Major benefits. And I'll say this: you'll not have peace and joy that's consistent until you're self-aware. Until you're self-aware of your true nature, I mean really aware of it and stable in it, you're not going to be able to have consistent peace and joy. You're going to have ups and downs, and circumstances and situations are going to grab you and throw you up, throw you down, and you're going to be all over the place. So I know we went over time today, but man, this discussion was hot. And I know next week, Sunday, I feel like we have to have a continuation of this and dive into this a little bit more, because it's really great. I didn't know the topic would have been that hey, I'm just open to being guided, and I don't prepare any particular agenda or structure. All right, I don't prepare anything. we just come here to have a dialogue, and whatever flows and unfolds and reveals itself from the spirit as this conversation, that's how it shows up. So this is truly, you know, each person being met where they are and allowing what is necessary to come out to allow more and more and more of us to reveal more and more of itself as us. You know, we'll come back to using the word his at some other point in the future. I won't dive into that today because that's too that. But one of these days we need to talk about it. All right, yeah, because we have this masochist, this masculine way of looking at our creator. You know, and we'll talk about that another day. But you know, to try to see the creator as a him as opposed to, you know, the creator as a creator. And beyond that, right? But anyway, that's another topic for another time.
Dr. Benjamin, someone just asked if great conversation here. We should have more of this every week. Nelson Joshua, we have this happens every week, 3 o'clock Nigerian time and 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Benjamin, what other times?
Yes, that's 5 o'clock Kenya. So it's just 3 o'clock on Sundays. Every Sunday we're on
5
here.
o'clock Kenya.
Yeah, so you know, every Sunday we're on here. 3 p.m. Nigeria, 5 p.m. Kenya, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So West Africa, East Africa, you know, North South America, and of course, you know, people from Asia will soon start popping up here as well. But I didn't get to catch every chat, every comment, everybody's. Everybody, some of you may not have been able to speak today. I know Robert, you got a good. Robert loves the mic. Robert is my brother. I love Robert. Robert loves to jump in and contribute. Not everybody likes to speak in public, and I get it. I understand. But you know, and thank you, Bridget, for showing up. You know, hopefully this won't be the only time you show up. I know we just were chatting. Bridget and I were chatting at the beginning of me being on here. I just shot her the flyer because I'm not proselytizing. All right, I'm not proselytizing. I'm not trying to build a religion. I'm not trying to build a church. I'm not doing that. You know, what we're doing is really having a conversation, and a part of my gifting is to break complex things down in simple terms, and that's where this whole book of acronyms comes from. And I realized that because I have self-awareness, it's not for me to hold on to self-awareness. It's for us to share the awareness of that with others so that we can all grow into levels of self-awareness. Because until all of us are self-aware, ultimately, the one of us is not self-aware. And one being, which is all of us expressing itself uniquely as each and every one of us, we have a responsibility to help each other, right? And what you have done unto the least of these, you have done unto me. So we have to realize that we're all one interconnected being, but we're individually unique. Each of us, none of us on here are the same, all right? We're unique. There's no higher, no lower. You know, there's no better than, greater than. All of us are greatness. I'll talk about that word one of these days, greatness, so that we can really understand it. You know, God revealing eternal attributes through noble entrepreneurial souls serendipitously. That's how I see that word, greatness. So God in each and every one of us is seeking by means of Austin and me and Augustine and Lillian and Robert and everybody in here, every one of us, God is seeking by means of each and every one of us to reveal God's glorious nature as our lives, to reveal our gifts, our talents, our capacities, our strengths. It comes with the byproducts or the benefits rather of having peace and joy and love, kindness, gentleness, strength, consistency, persistence, divine ideas, intelligence, wisdom, transforming knowledge. All of that comes through us as a means of our nature, our natural state. The word, Robert, the word, I'll just drop this last one. The word, all right? When you speak a word, when you say a word, it has a frequency in it. All words have a vibration. The deepest way I see the word is a vibration, the vibration of the Most High. Our words, every word that we speak has a vibration. If you say hi, and put your palm in front of your hand and say hello, you'll feel the frequency of hello on your hand. You'll feel the frequency. So every word that you're speaking from our mouths is a vibration. And if you continue to speak words in a particular way, those words will eventually vibrate and become your life experience. in condensated form. That's how thoughts eventually become things. Because the words that we speak are energy. They are frequency. They have a vibration inherent in them. And you have to be mindful of what you're saying, because those words are the words of God in us that we're given the permission to use, right? So don't dive into that. There's a lot for us to go.
Do we have time for one question?
Okay. Is there a question there?
Yes,
go ahead, brother.
Bridget asked something. Question: Thought enlightenment, self-aware is a spiritual process, but can someone who is enlightened still be spiritually dead? That is separated, not aligned with truth and the great I am, God. All
right. So someone, because what happens is that dead, to me is a basic way of looking at life, right? It's like, let me ask this question: what's the opposite of life? If you want to put the answer in the chat, or you want to what's the opposite of life? So to understand if somebody can be spiritually dead, because the word dead, right? So Nelson, thank you, Nelson, for contributing that. So the opposite of life, there's no opposite to life. Okay? What's the opposite of light? L-I-G-H-T. What's the opposite of light? Somebody put the answer in the chat for me. What the opposite of light? Right? What's the opposite of light? Right? So, okay, darkness. So that's not true either. So what happens is that light and life don't have opposites. They are absolutes, right? So for example, light, you cannot shine darkness in a room. Darkness doesn't have any, there's nothing to darkness except the absence of light. The only way you can have darkness is when light is removed. So therefore then, even in the darkest darks, bats can see inside of what human beings call darkness. So if you enter a cave, you cannot see in the cave is closed, there's no light in there, you cannot walk, but yet still bats are flying around in there because they are perceiving light at a frequency where your human eyes cannot perceive it. So what happens is that light is always here. Light never goes away. Life is always here. Life is eternal. But what happens is that things are born and things die. Anything that is physical has a birthday, and anything that's physical has a death day. You and I are not physical beings, we're spiritual beings. Spiritual beings are eternal, which means we existed before time began, and we exist after time ends. So when somebody says you're spiritually dead, the word dead in itself means that you're trying to say the spirit is dead, and the spirit cannot be dead. So nobody can be spiritually dead. They can be spiritually unaware. They can be not aware of the spirit in them. They can be unaware, and they're lost in the darkness of confusion about what is living, what is dead, who am I, who I'm not. So it is the confusion of identity that causes somebody to feel like they could be dead spiritually, but you cannot be dead. You can't die, right? From the Bhagavad Gita, this wonderful statement comes to us that says that when it comes to your spirit, your life, the life that we are, it says that fire burns it not. Your life, I'm talking about you, your life, every one of us. Fire burns it not. Water wets it not. Water wets it not. Wind blows it not away. If you find it, you cannot name it. If you name it, you cannot find it. That is our life. So our life is an eternal life that you can only know, but describing it becomes somewhat useless. So the words and the languaging that we're using is to help us to go deeper. And all of us, ultimately, the answer is to turn within. You will not find the answer in us. You'll not find the answer in the Bible. You'll not find the answer in the books. You'll not find the answer in church, in the temple, in the mosque. The answer is not there. The answer is inside of your soul, where you and I will have to go and meet the Creator, for lack of a better word, face to face. You have to have your own meeting, and it is inside there that you'll meet now. And when you meet now, that's where the sparks happen. That's where the release happens. That's where your gifts, your talents, your capacities start to birth itself. That's where, boom, enlightenment becomes the order of the day. I'm really grateful for our conversation. Man, we've been on here long. I don't want to be on here too long.
Harry,
You know,
I just have to add on to what you just said, because in Romans 8, you said something, you know, you won't find it in the Bible, the Master Church. Agreed, spirit to spirit, and people can find Christ outside of a church because our spirit communes with the spirit that is the I am. But the word of God does say, for the mind set on the flesh is death, but the mind set on the spirit is life and peace. So when you talk about death and life, light and dark, I agree with you. Light just is, you know, the absence of light is where you get dark. Wherever light is, light just is. But you have to understand that you started this conversation today about the word enlightenment, and how you explained, a part of how you explained a while ago is exactly what enlightenment is. You see, it's spiritual. So when you say, you're looking at someone who sees words in the human realm. When you say death, people think about physical death. When the Lord says death, he's talking about a spiritual death, and that death is a separation from the knowledge of God. It's a separation from the truth of God. And that to me is enlightenment. So when someone said it earlier, begins to seek truth, you're seeking God is what you're doing. Some people might be where their environment told them about Buddha or Islam or Christianity or Jesus or just be yourself or just be good. And all of these different perspectives, it's the human way to try in our little brain to get to this place called unity with God. The fact of the matter is we are all dead in our trespasses and sin. We are dead in what we don't know. We are dead in what we don't realize. And when mankind seeks everybody in their own way to come up with this philosophy and that philosophy, it can be very distracting. And that is the purpose of what I was saying earlier. If we are to get to, in quotation, enlightenment, truth, that oneness, that unity, we must go through all these distractions. And the best way to be distracted is to have a ton of almost truths, almost sounding okay, because everybody has an okay way to rationalize things. But the fact is, truth is simply truth. And it is only the truth of God, the truth of our spirit man, understanding that there is a God, the I am, and that spirit is what our spirit is seeking to align with. God has created us with that natural void. So you're right, Harry. You could be in the forest and feel that hole in your heart, because that hole in your heart is created, and the only thing that can fill that longing, that need to be unified, this, you call it enlightenment, it is wholeness, it is oneness, it is truth. The only thing that can fill that is the spirit of the living God, the spirit of the I am, the word that said, I am the way, the truth, the light, and no one comes to me but through the Father, because the Father and I are one. The Father is the word. God is the word. It's one. And so I hear what you're saying. And I just want to just posit as you close the call. I don't want to overcook anybody's grits. And like you, I'm not trying to put my thoughts and belief on anyone, or we're not, trying to bring a church or a cult or something here. What it is exactly, as you know, I have a group called Barrier Breakers that we name our team, because I am aware that people can't move forward because of barriers, and the barriers are not the physical things that we see on this world. The barriers are always spiritual, and that enlightenment that we seek to conversate on today is that thing that we just don't know. It's the same level of knowledge. So if someone says, I want to read the Bible, or I want to read the Quran or something else, that's an intellectual decision. It is not until our spirit, someone said it earlier, emptying yourself, it's not until your spirit desires truth that the same thing you think you understand today, you'll understand more. Harry, you said you've pierced the veil. Every time you reach another level, you still don't know what you don't know. And that is just the process of enlightening, knowing what you don't know, because it is God that continues to reveal it. And he will never reveal the next level until you fully appreciate the level that you are on. The first level is to know you are not in control. You do not have the answers. Your spirit has to be awakened, has to come alive, has to go into the light. And that is the knowledge that, listener, I have to connect with God. Once you recognize that that's the first level, needing, wanting, desiring to put yourself aside and connect spiritually, that's the first level. Everything else, like everyone has said, is a personal journey. And as you seek truth, truth will happen. God will reveal himself to anyone, regardless of your religion, your race, your sex, nothing at all. God desires to bring mankind to himself in wholeness. And it starts with people realizing the philosophies matters not. Truth is truth, and we seek it diligently, and God will reveal it to us.
Thank you. So we're all in the process, various stages, various points in the journey, and this type of conversation can go on for a long time. All right, so
I hope you don't ban me from your call.
No, you are. I mean, every idea is welcome here, and every idea helps you to, become more aware of what you're seeking. Because you see, in this journey of enlightenment or awareness, you are not just going to be aware of one perspective alone. You're going to be aware of every perspective, and from there, grow.
Correct.
You cannot know good without bad, and you cannot know bad without good, because they both come to shed light on your growth process. So every perspective is welcome, so we can all grow together.
Awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, as a way of ending our conversation, the word magnificent, and we use this word. That word is so powerful to me, because what happened to us in the process of losing our way is we didn't know and realize that we're created in God's nature. All right, we know from the very beginning, from the onset, we're not separate from our Creator, but there's a belief that we are. And that belief that we're separate led to fears, doubts, worries, all of the various things that we go through in the human experience that are challenging, that are pulling us down from that awareness of our magnificent nature. So I use this as a way to help to remind ourselves, to keep ourselves lifted up by blessing someone else and reminding them that you are magnificent. And I bless you and your life is magnificent, is the way we say it. The word magnificent, made after God's nature, infinitely, forever, increasing, continuously expressing new talents. Magnificent. So that word is used to remind each and every one of us. So what we do at the end is that we simply unmute, find at least 5 names and speak it out of your mouth and say, I bless you and your life is magnificent. All right, we can go ahead, right? Because we're on here long, right? So we're going to jump off. So I bless you, Augustine.
I bless
your
you,
life
Sahid.
is magnificent.
Your life is
I bless you,
magnificent.
Sahid.
I bless
Your
you,
life is
Dr.
magnificent.
Benjamin.
I bless you,
Your
Robert.
life
Your
is
life is
magnificent.
magnificent.
I
I bless you,
you,
Bridget, and
Annette.
your life
Your
is
life is
magnificent. I
magnificent.
bless you,
I
Dr.
bless you,
Bless you,
Pepper.
Dr.
bless you,
Harry. Your life is
Your life is
magnificent.
is
I bless you,
magnificent.
Dr.
Annette.
Harry, your
Your
life
life
is
is
bless you,
I
magnificent.
magnificent.
Osei.
bless
I
you,
Life
bless
Laura.
you,
Yes,
Your
your
life
life
is
is
Bridget.
magnificent.
magnificent. I
Your
bless
life
you,
is
I bless
Bridget.
you, Dr.
I
magnificent.
Benjamin.
bless
I
Saeed,
see
and
you,
your
you.
life
Osei.
is
Your
magnificent.
life is
Your life is
magnificent. I
Netta,
magnificent.
bless you,
your life is
Aneta. Your life is
magnificent.
Olan, your
I
life is
bless
magnificent.
you.
magnificent. Bless you,
Bless
Jen.
you,
Your life is
Jen. Your life
magnificent.
is
Adrian,
magnificent.
your life is
I see you,
magnificent.
Robert. Your
I
life is
thank you, Dr.
magnificent.
Harry. Your life is
Bless
magnificent.
you,
I bless you,
Father. Your
Robert.
life is